Oh my God. We got to get into this article, man. It seems as if Caitlin Clark has turned down $20 million. $20 million in the WNBA. Y'all acting like y'all can't get a CBA done, turning down all this bread for y'all. Listen, Caitlin, you might need to start accepting some of these bags. You might need to start accepting some of these payments.
NBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's obviously...
Something strange is happening in women's basketball right now, and it has nothing to do with a buzzer beater or a blown lead. This time, the drama isn't on the court. It's in the boardroom. Word started spreading that Caitlin Clark was walking away from a contract worth close to $20 million, or at the very least, putting it on ice indefinitely. And just like that, the entire conversation around her flipped. This isn't a story about a paycheck anymore. This is a story about power and who actually holds it. And right now, it looks like that power just shifted away from the league office and landed directly in Caitlin Clark's hands. For years, the WNBA has run on one simple formula: pay the players just enough to keep them around, but not enough to let them say no. Because the checks were small, stars had no choice but to hop on planes every offseason and go grind it out in Europe or China just to make real money. The league needed that desperation. It kept everyone in line. But then Caitlin Clark did something nobody expected. She looked at an offer that would set up almost any other athlete for life, and she said, "Not right now." That single decision cracked open a system that's been running the same way for decades. Sources say the league office is quietly panicking because for the first time, they've realized something uncomfortable. They can't simply buy Caitlin Clark's cooperation. She already has a Nike empire behind her. She already has millions of fans in her corner. And now she's shown she's completely fine saying no to more money. For a commissioner who just locked in a media rights deal worth roughly $2 billion, a deal that leaned heavily on Clark's popularity to even make sense, hearing no from her is the last thing she wanted. But to understand why this rejection is causing so much noise, you need to actually look at what was on the table and why turning it down was such a bold move. The offer reportedly came from Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 league co-founded by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. And this wasn't some basic show-up-and-play arrangement. Insiders compared the structure to something you'd see offered to Lionel Messi. That means equity. That means revenue sharing. That means numbers that have never been seen before in women's sports. Quick pause here. If you're finding this breakdown interesting, drop a like and follow along for more. It genuinely helps this content reach more people. Okay, back to the story. We're talking about a package that, once you factor in the marketing potential around it, could have generated somewhere between $10 and $20 million in total value over time. Unrivaled was built specifically to keep WNBA players stateside during the off-season instead of risking injury overseas. And to make that model work, they needed one thing above everything else: Caitlin Clark. Without her, Unrivaled is a solid collection of talented players. With her, it's a global product. Reports suggest they offered her almost everything short of ownership papers, expecting a quick yes. Instead, silence. And that silence hit different than most rejections. By not jumping at the offer, Clark stripped the new league of its biggest promotional weapon overnight. She basically showed everyone that her time is worth more to her than their money. Unrivaled needs her name attached if they ever want major television deals or big-name sponsors to take them seriously. By not signing immediately, Clark proved her brand doesn't need a startup league to stay relevant. If anything, it's the other way around. The league needs her far more than she needs it. So why is WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert reportedly frustrated over a deal involving a completely separate league? Because in modern sports, everything is connected. The WNBA just landed a media rights deal worth roughly $2 billion over 11 years, a number that would have been unthinkable a few years back. And let's be honest, that number doesn't exist without the Caitlin Clark effect. Networks paid that kind of money because they expect to see her face on their broadcasts constantly. If Clark decides to step back during the off-season, or worse, signals she wants more control over her own schedule, that creates real risk for the league's growth plan. They need her visible basically all year long. The moment she chooses rest over exposure, momentum slows down. This frustration really comes down to control or the sudden lack of it. The league is used to players who need the spotlight. Clark is the opposite. She understands that staying a little out of reach actually increases her value. That puts pressure on Engelbert, especially after fans noticed exactly what happened during Clark's Olympic break. Less buzz, less conversation, less attention on the league overall. If Clark decides her off-seasons are for training and recovery instead of appearances, that free marketing the league has been relying on disappears. And broadcast partners expect a return on their investment. Then there's the financial reality check, which honestly explains a lot of this confidence. Clark reportedly signed an 8-year deal with Nike worth around $28 million, with incentives and her own signature shoe pushing that number even higher. Her Nike salary alone likely outpaces what most WNBA players will earn across their entire careers. That changes everything about how she can operate. Most rookies in any league start out needing every single check, every appearance, every side deal, just to stay financially stable. Clark walked in essentially running her own business already. Her WNBA salary is somewhere around $76,000, which, compared to everything else she's earning, is basically pocket change. You cannot dangle money in front of someone who's already financially set. That's exactly what's rattling the league office, because money has always been the leash. Do this media tour, get this bonus. Play in this extra league, afford that new house. Clark doesn't need any of it. She could buy the neighborhood if she wanted to. Financial independence means she gets to choose based on what she wants, not what she needs. And right now what she wants looks a lot like independence from the entire system. There might be an even more serious reason behind these rejections though. Her rookie season was brutal on her body. This isn't just about adjusting to professional basketball. This is about the physical punishment she absorbed night after night. From the blindside hip check by Kennedy Carter to constant physical pressure from Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky, Clark took hit after hit. Fans and analysts kept calling for the league to step in and protect its biggest asset, but the response from officials was mostly a shrug, framed as "welcome to the league" moments. When there were no real suspensions or harsher penalties for those plays, the message to Clark was loud and clear: you're on your own out there. So why would she willingly sign up for more games, more travel, more chances to run into the same players who spend a season going after her? By turning this deal down, Clark may simply be protecting her own body. She played heavy minutes and absorbed more contact than almost anyone in the league, and now she's choosing recovery. It's a quiet statement about the league failing to protect her. If the WNBA won't guarantee her safety, she'll guarantee it herself by staying home. This rejection is also stirring things up inside locker rooms, and that tension has been simmering for a while. Picture being a veteran who's won championships, earned MVP honors, carried the league for a decade, and still never cashed a check north of $250,000. Then a rookie strolls in and casually turns down millions. That mix of respect and resentment is complicated. Some veterans reportedly feel Clark hasn't earned the right to turn down opportunities like this. Because Stewart and Collier's league only grows if more stars sign on, Clark declining feels, to some players, like she's not fully invested in lifting everyone else up. If Unrivaled doesn't succeed, that impacts every player's earning potential, not just hers. So by stepping back, Clark is unintentionally pulling revenue away from her peers, which only adds tension to an already competitive league. And here's where things get even more interesting. There's a term for what Clark appears to be doing, and it's become common in the corporate world: quiet quitting. Doing exactly what's required, nothing more. She shows up. She scores around 20 points, dishes out 10 assists, handles her required media duties, and goes home. By turning down extra deals, extra off-season commitments, and extra responsibilities, she's drawing a clear line. The league's business model has always relied on players hyping the product themselves, because marketing budgets have historically been thin. Clark doesn't need to promote the league. She is the promotion. This quiet pullback is actually a power move, because it forces the league to come to her. If they want more from her, they're going to have to offer more than money. Better travel conditions, real charter flights, improved officiating, actual security. By simply not engaging, she's applying pressure without saying a word, pushing the league to upgrade its entire infrastructure just to keep her invested. This situation also exposes a bigger issue. Stewart and Collier built unrivaled to solve the overseas problem, and they brought in investors with promises of serious payouts. But it's likely a lot of those investors assumed Clark would eventually be front and center for the league. By passing on the deal, Clark isn't just skipping a contract. She's putting the entire valuation of that league on shakier ground. That leaves Stewart and Collier in an awkward spot, possibly having to launch without the sport's biggest draw. There's also a cultural angle here. Clark isn't part of the traditional basketball pipeline that built the league's old guard. She didn't come up through the same programs, the same connections, the same circles. That outsider status makes her unpredictable, and the league has never liked unpredictability. They want a storyline they can manage. Clark clearly isn't following anyone's script. You also can't ignore Engelbert's recent public stumbles. Her widely criticized interview, where she avoided directly condemning the racism and hostility aimed at Clark, turned off a big chunk of fans. It probably didn't sit well with Clark either. Imagine your own league's leadership going on national television and refusing to defend you, all to protect a manufactured rivalry narrative for ratings. That kind of moment breaks trust fast. Why would Clark go out of her way to help a commissioner who seems more focused on growing the pie than protecting the people baking it? Some will say Clark is making a mistake, that you strike while the iron's hot. But her team seems to understand something the league hasn't fully accepted yet. Burnout is real. Athletes push too hard, too fast, tend to flame out early. By turning down extra money right now, Clark is investing in longevity. She's not trying to play 5 explosive years. She wants 15 solid ones. Between an intense NCAA tournament run and a demanding WNBA schedule, she's been playing at a brutal pace for well over a year. Her body needs the reset. The league wants short-term cash and headlines. Clark is playing the long game, and she knows one bad injury in a meaningless January exhibition could derail everything she's built. So where does this leave us? Clark is calm. The commissioner is frustrated. Investors are nervous. And some veterans aren't thrilled either. This standoff has become the biggest storyline of the offseason, and it proves one thing clearly. The era of WNBA players being treated as replaceable pieces is over. Throwing more money at the problem won't fix it. The culture needs real change. Physical safety, travel standards, and better public support all need addressing. Clark has to be treated like a genuine partner, not just a revenue source. And she has more than enough financial security to sit in a private gym working on her step-back 3 until that actually happens. At the end of the day, this isn't really about one rejected deal. It's about a shift in leverage that the league never saw coming. Caitlin Clark just proved that talent, not tradition, runs the show now. And that's a hard truth for an organization built on decades-old rules to wake up to. If this kind of breakdown keeps you hooked, make sure you're following for more. Hit that notification bell and drop your take in the comments, because this story is far from over and you won't want to miss what happens next.